Thanks, Phil. Appreciate it. Enjoy being with everybody, especially when you guys have got a choice where you spend your time and the fact that you want to, as Phil said here, a couple of monotone guys. We're saved a bit by Jennifer, who I'm going to ask to speak next. I'll tell you a funny story about Jennifer and how she's integral into this process and what it is that we all do. And about a year ago, maybe a couple of years ago, I was at the end of end of the year. An agent was trying to get a case done by the end of the month. He has had some licensing challenges, a bunch of stuff going on. And we were literally counting down the days to the end of the month. And then we were counting down the hours, and we needed all this stuff. And somebody noticed Jen was scrambling, and they were like, what's going on? Why are you? And she told them what's going on, and they were like, well, that's never going to happen. This was Jennifer's response. And one reason when they said, who do you want to work with? I was like, Jennifer. And so she said her answer to them was, watch me. So that's the kind of attitude you get when you get a hold of Jennifer. I'm going to turn it over to her, let her talk a little bit about what she does. There's the phone number. There's the magic button, option 4. You'll get her, and we'll pick up the other team here in a minute. But Jennifer, why don't you outline a bit what you do?
Sure, yeah. So I kind of do everything. What I like to say is that I'm your assistant with Columbus Life, so to speak. Sounds a little demeaning at first, but the truth is, you have a core collection of carriers I'm sure that you choose to use. My job is to make your job as easy as possible to do business with Columbus Life. So I have agents who call me for enforce policy issues, questions, whatever. I may not be able to directly help them with that myself. I can't technically process a payment, but I'm sure it's heck going to get you to the right person who can, or I'm going to get that done on your behalf with the right person. And I think it's the same thing. If you are writing an application and you have questions, if you're new to electronic applications, electronic delivery, I know, Phil, we had a case in house. We split it into 2. We were adding an agent. I want to try to take that headache off of you. You tell me what you need, and I'm going to figure out how we can make it happen. That's really my role. I have a tagline at the sales desk, and I say I'm only as successful as my agents are, because let's be honest, at the end of the day, my company is not going to be prosperous if we have unhappy agents, or if we have business for our agents we can't close, or we can't help them. That's not why we do this job. I want you to be successful. So that's kind of who I am and what I do. I do work with a great team. There's 5 of us on the sales desk. We are all incredibly passionate about what we do. If I am ever out of office traveling for business or out for the day, you can be rest assured that my 4 other partners are going to be right there to help you. We take this incredibly serious, and that is 100% what we're here for.
We're going to brag on Jennifer. We had 2 agents who have to submit a case this week. They submitted their licensing paperwork, what was it, Monday night? And
Yes.
it's Pennsylvania, which is a pre-appointment state, and we got it all done yesterday. So they're ready to bend over backwards. I'm not saying everybody get appointed today and make Jennifer lose the wonderful hair she has, but that's just kind of the approach that they take. They're going to bend over backwards. It's a true partnership. Even though we're independent, it has a little bit of that career mentality, and that's why I really like this team. And so in any event, I just want to say that real quick, so I'll let you guys get back to it.
Yeah, thanks, Phil. Jen, anything else?
No, I would just say, if you're ever in doubt, just call that 800 number. Like I said, if I can't help you, or if it's you need an underwriter, we do have an underwriter on staff every single day. There's also a picture of our advanced market team. They're amazing. They're also here every day. So whenever in doubt, you're not sure where you need to go, just dial me at that 800 option 4. That's me, and I will get you wherever you need to go.
Thanks, Jen. I appreciate it. Yeah, she
course.
definitely brings the independent but not alone mantra to life, because as long as she and her team are available, you guys are in good stead. I always say, in case of emergency, break glass. That's Jen. So I'm going to switch over to another PowerPoint. So bear with while we try to locate that. It is here. Now let's go back. No, do it like this one. Okay, here we go. So two things that we want to talk about today, and is how to write more life insurance. And I'm going to give you a couple of ways to do it with business owners. And we're going to touch on that one thing that all business owners, and especially their CPAs, get just, rabid about, which is, well, can I deduct it? Can I deduct it? Can I deduct it? So we're going to show you some ways, and literally some of the very few ways that you can deduct insurance premiums, particularly on the owner. Not an easy thing to do otherwise, but we're going to show you how. And I want you, I don't want to be so self-deprecating you don't listen, but I know enough to be dangerous of these. I know the high points and where they work. I've actually sold these plans myself, but I was the guy that, got the employer excited and got the right people introduced, and then quarterbacked, all the pieces that went on behind the scenes, not having to be the resident expert, subject matter expert. We have people for that. So needn't worry about being an expert. Honestly, no, if you deduct the premium, the tax benefit will not be taxable. And that's kind of what's unique about these two plans and the way they work. Because oftentimes, yeah, you do run a risk of having a challenge pulling in. That's one reason why I just tell people the answer is no, you can't deduct premiums, because you can, to your point, get yourself in trouble. But these work. So my point is, we've got subject matter experts that we can bring to bear. In fact, we might even have them on a call in the future. Phil's met one of them for sure, and the other ones I've worked with as well. So they're great folks. So the first thing we're going to talk about is owning life insurance inside a qualified plan. A qualified plan is, we think of it as a 401k, profit sharing, a pension plan. All of those are generic names in a sense. They are real plans, but there's variations on the theme with each one. There's things you can do to manipulate them so that, you've heard things like cash balance plan and 412E and all sorts of things under the IRS rules of what is. Qualified plans is a way that an employer can offer retirement benefits to their employees and make the tax deduction. The tax deduction is driven largely by the fact that the government sets the rules up so that everybody can play and it's fair. So there's a lot of discrimination testing that goes on. There's a lot of compliance rules that go on, and all the like. Plus, as we all know, qualified money is going to be taxed eventually when you start pulling that money out. So that's sort of the trade-off. We'll give you the deduction now. We'll give some breaks to, to the employer, and to the employee with if they're doing like a 401k deduct, but you've got to pay the piper at some point. The life insurance twist is a little interesting and a little unusual. It's not a free for all. With everything, as they've said, there is no free lunch. There's always a little give up to make it all work, but I think it's well worth it. We've got cases in-house right now that are 80, 150, $250,000 of premium. I know of a couple of other cases, others that are working on that are 4, 5, 600,000. So these can be very large cases. The trick is just teaming up with the right folks, understanding a little bit about where they work so that you know what the hot buttons are and talking to an employer and sort of helping them sort it out. So I'm just going to run through a couple of slides here. There are rules, as you can see, and again, subject matter folks can come in and discuss this indeed, but I want to get to these next 2 slides. There's essentially 2 bites of the apple on the qualified plan side. One is to put it in a defined benefit or plan, which is more or less a pension plan. You can do it inside contribution plans like 401k plans. The IUL that we're all familiar with is limited to 25%. They pension or the whole life products have been in there for a long time. When whole life kind of had the whole thing to themselves in the early 80s, very early 80s, the service said, okay, well, we're going to allow this new product, Universal Life, that develops cash value to be in the program. But honestly, the whole life companies back then were super strong, and they lobbied and kept the amount half of what it is. But oftentimes what you do, the way you take advantage of that, is you put half of the money in the whole life plan and half the money in the 401k. And there's some rules you can do to get this number north of 25. So that's where you are. Once you have the plan in place, and we'll touch on this at another time, the money, the ones that we did personally, we had this group of doctors, they were contributing heavily, we were putting a big chunk in the life insurance. And then out in the later years, 7, 8, 9 years out, they actually buy the life insurance out of the plan. So it's just like buying an asset. You're going to come up with a value for the life insurance and you buy it out. Well, when you buy it out, it will have the same tax benefits that you know about life insurance that you sell every day. So if you think about this, and this is where the magic comes in, is if I put money in this thing and been able to deduct it, now I've got this asset sitting inside my pension plan, and it's got a bunch of cash in it, but it's on the inside. How do I get it on the outside? Well, you come up with a value for the life insurance and you buy it out. And often the way it was explained and the way we took care of it was, a lot of these folks have other monies, other pockets of money sitting around. Well, if they've got money in a bunch of mutual funds that's getting, taxed like crazy, you trade that money, put it in the pension plan and buy out the life insurance. And when you buy it out, you buy out the tax benefits that come with life insurance. And now you've got this big pot of money that's sitting on the outside that was paid with tax deductible dollars. And now you can pull the money out tax free. And then the mutual fund money you had that was being taxed is now inside your qualified plan, or roll it out into an IRA, now is not taxed. And you can do the different things that you can do with that to leverage that even further out. So this is a real great way to have conversations. What I would tell you, one thing on this piece that you want to be careful, if you want small employers, typically doctors, dentists, Professionals, what you want to stay away from are large groups where there's lots of employees, and or groups where the age group in the group is close to the owner's age, because when they do the testing for who gets to be paid what, you've got an employer in his 50s. If he's got just 2 staff members, in their 20s or 30s, earning 50,000 or less, all of a sudden you've got nice leverage. Because most of the contributions are going to be going towards the employer, and very little is going to go to the employee. That's where this thing gets challenging, is if the 2 employees, say, were to make a lot of money, or they were close to the employer's age, then a lot more contribution has to go in place, because what you're trying to do with a defined benefit is hit some target number when they all hit retirement age. Well, the older person the owner has the advantage because he's closer to retirement, which means I've got to fund it heavy to hit those numbers. If they're younger, then they've got a lot longer to grow, and you can use the interest rate and you can make your contribution much smaller. So it is leveraging the census data that you're doing, the ages and the incomes. I will tell you from personal experience, you've got to be pretty good at your prospecting so that you're fishing in the right ponds. Having the conversations with folks that aren't good fits or aren't a good match can be difficult. The nice part about it is what I'm going to talk to you about next is, to me, a great safety net for those groups that are bigger, where the ages are different. It is a lot simpler, a lot cleaner. It's not 100% deductible like a pension plan is. It's 30 to 40% deductible, but you still get some deduction for it, and you simplify the plan and you lower the cost of the plan. And we'll touch on that next. So in the qualified plan space, you've got an opportunity. We can get you additional information. We've got all sorts of stuff at the home office, but I think the best thing we can do is reschedule a meeting for those of you that are interested and drill down even deeper on this. I'm going to hit one other qualified plan slide that I think is important to bring up, and that is the idea of seasoned money. What's seasoned money? Well, what they're referring to is money that's sitting inside a profit sharing plan or sitting in an IRA that you can transfer to a profit sharing plan. If the money has been sitting out there for more than 2 years and or the participant has had it for more than 5 years, 100% of the dollars can go into life insurance, and 100% of it can go in the IUL. So to me, the prospect here are those folks, again, the older age folks, professionals who have done a successful job of jamming a bunch of money in their qualified plans, 401ks, whatever, and they've got all this money, and it's all sitting inside sort of a tax bomb, if you will, because it's all going to get whacked with taxes. What you do is you come in and you move a big chunk of it. You have to move all of it, but you move a big chunk of it to life insurance. And then you do the same thing I said a while ago, you buy it out. You buy it out of the plan. There's some creative ways in buying it out. I gave you one, which was just trading dollars between the owner and the plan. Another way to do it is the owner sets up a trust and you transfer it into a trust. Kate's really good about that. This presentation, in fact, she's got some of those exit strategies outlined. So there's several creative ways of getting it out. And that's where this thing really sings, as you think about the money, again, contributed with tax deductible dollars, sitting on the outside inside a life insurance plan, enjoying the living benefits death benefit and cash accumulation tax benefits that are on the in a life insurance plan. Now you've got something pretty sexy. And what I think a lot of employers want to hear, how can I move money out of my company into my own pocket? And then all along the way they go, I want to deduct it. I mean, it's pretty easy to get money out of a court, but it requires paying taxes. A lot of guys don't like paying taxes. I get it. So there's a couple of ways we can do this. Now I'm going to pivot.
Jeff,
I'm going to go ahead.
real quick, two things. One, when you say seasoned money, can you do a SEP into a profit sharing plan by any chance? And because there's a lot of people on here who do work with people who have SEPs. Some of them even have multiple SEPs because they were sold annuities or something from a prior broker, and they sold them like 2 or 3 SEPs, like one in a row and a row and a row. But are those something that can also be moved over to a profit sharing? That's question one.
Honestly, a good question.
know?
I don't know, Phil, but that the answer to that is obtainable, and I could have it in the morning and shoot it to you and you out to all the participants.
Okay. And two, you mentioned Kate. We don't know who Kate is. I do, but no one else does. So just
My
if you
apologies.
could-
Kate was in that picture of the advanced sales attorney. She was a practicing attorney. She's worked for a couple of insurance companies, both in their legal department, and now has been in the position she's had for as long as I've been here. I've been here 9 years, so she's been doing it, I think, 10 plus. Where she's been sitting on the advanced sales desk, can talk about business succession planning, estate planning, this qualified plan stuff. She's great on tax questions, whether it's life or annuities. And frankly, she's just a good presenter. The other nice thing about that, and Phil, I appreciate you mentioning it, is Jennifer said earlier, you dial the 800 number, you hit 8, one of 3 attorneys are going to answer the phone, and they're fixing to hire a 4th one. So there should be plenty of folks to go around. You'll find somebody you like working with. Kate's just one of them. And they can talk you through all this kind of thing. They can actually get on the phone with you if you've got a client or an attorney or a CPA who've got questions. They can help you with that. That's why I'm saying subject matter experts are close at hand, and they can actually interact with your clients and their advisors as well. They're real good about that. They know how to kind of, be respectful, walk in. They're not going to be, ham-handed about it, because that's always the trick about bringing somebody else into that sort of inner circle conversation. They're real adept at doing that and know how to, support you in your effort and not be offensive and be able to answer the question and keep the process moving forward. They'll also do plan review. So you've got a trust document or something that you can have them look at this. The last plug I should say on the qualified plan piece that's not, there may be a slide here at the end. So Choice of TPA, Lafayette, our sister company, actually, has been doing this for years. We have our own internal TPA. They can design the retirement plan. They can do all the administration, the discrimination testing, the tax reporting to the Department of Labor, all the stuff that has to be done to manage and keep a plan compliant, not just setting it up, but keeping it running and keeping it on track. Critical piece. If any of you have done premium finance, getting it sold is the beginning of that process. You've got every year, you've got reviews. Well, you've got annual reviews with qualified plans as well, and have to go through the same sort of testing. We've got your back on that. This is a group that's been around a long time. So like I said, subject matter experts are close at hand. What we want to do is not teach you to be experts on this kind of stuff. We want to teach you enough to have a conversation with your prospects, be able to identify those prospects, have those conversations, and then advance the ball forward. So that's a process we can go down. In fact, if some of you are interested, we can again set up a separate call. Another plug for a trip to Cincinnati. You can meet some of these people that we're referring to as well. So that would, because we're going to go up and do a baseball game, but we're going to spend some time in the home office, and it'll be a great opportunity for you to meet some other folks. So let me switch
In there.
to.
You had a quick question, Jeff. Can you please explain or discuss the benefits of such plans for both employees and employers? A little bit of detail. I'm assuming you're talking about qualified plans. If you don't want to handle that, I can handle that one later.
No, well, what I would say, Phil, and you tell me if this answers the question. Oftentimes, the reason a plan is put in place is the employer is trying to make his employees happy. He's trying to provide retirement benefits. He's trying to attract and retain the right employees. And so for that, they build these retirement plans to do that. The challenge with qualified plans is there's a lot of rules that you have to follow, and you can't say, okay, I'm going to give my managers all the money and I'm just going to give a pittance or nothing. There's things you can do to sort of stack that, but qualified plans are pretty restrictive. But it's the baseline. If you have these smaller employers, oftentimes the benefit is really for the employer. They're gonna have this plan active, let's say 5 to 10 years, and then they're going to terminate the plan. Their whole point is, I'm making all the typical things. I've got this doctor who's making, $500,000 to $1 million a year. He's bought the big house, he's bought the second home, he's taken all the trips, he's got all the toys, and now he wakes up and goes, shoot, I'm paying a bunch of taxes and I want to save some of this money. That's where the pension or a qualified plan can come into play. It is the surest way to move significant dollars from the corporate side over to the employee side. And again, trying to leverage your number of employees, ages, and incomes against the employers.
Yeah, real quick, I put in the chat as well. The IRS has all the guidelines and definitions for each of the products. So you use 401ks if you have a really large corporation. SEPs are usually for smaller groups, and IRAs is usually individual retirement accounts. That's the IRA. So I would say take a look at that link. And really it just depends on what business owners you're trying to attract. So at that point, kind of tying into what Jeff is saying, if we can quantify or qualify the right type of account and it meets the parameters, we can reposition it and then stuff into life insurance, which the cheap shameless plug I would say too is that if someone has a SEP or whatever, or a plan where they have a lot of cash in it, individual business owner, we could talk about the PDA account. So you could reposition the money to Columbus, stuff it all in the PDA, and have it go in over 10 years. And now you have the opportunity to get tax-free income or other things like that. So definitely a cool story there. Or if the older ages, you could use it for legacy play. A great question is, what's the target age for people like that? If you guys have any examples, Jeff, or if you want to get some examples, because I know you said Kate does a lot of these, I think that'd be good to kind of do as a follow-up for my newsletters. I can send some examples.
No, that's a great idea. And I'll follow up with some material for you, and then you can pick through what you want to send out, and then the rest of it we could save for a meeting with Kate.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll get back to your question, Anoop, I promise. I'll just do a follow-up via email. So Jeff, back to you, sir.
All right, so I'm now going to pivot away from what we think of as traditional qualified plans, pension plans, 401ks, profit sharings, those type things, and go to something that it is actually in the IRS code. It let me pop up here. There you go. So it is, for lack of a better, there's a wonky IRS code name for it. It essentially, the easiest way to describe it is group life. And the nice part about this plan is it is not as onerous in the requirements and the setup and the costs of, say, a 401k or even especially a pension plan. It's pretty straightforward. Essentially what you're trying to do, again, the same objective. I've got an employer who says, I want to get some money out of my company. I want to benefit, or maybe I've got 2 or 3 managers that essentially run this place, and I would be sunk if I lost them. I need to find a nice way to reward them. And this is where this comes into play. You can discriminate here. You can pick and choose with a little bit more liberal rules and guidelines than you can in a full-blown qualified plan. So we're all familiar with group term. A lot of us, if we worked for a company, have had group term. We know that up to 50,000 can be provided by the employer, is not taxable to the employee, and is just a benefit. The way you get to the permanent group, the permanent life side over here, is you've got to go through this 3-step process. First, you get group term on everybody for 50,000, and you just set that up. That's usually relatively inexpensive, $100 or less per employee, and that gets that set up. Second, you have to offer, for those that want it, group term above 50,000 that the employer can pay for, or they pay for themselves. If the employer pays it, they're going to be taxed on it because it's above the 50,000 mark. But that's the second group. So first, everybody gets it. Second, those that want more can get more, and you can decide who pays for it. The third thing is you also offer the group, anybody that wants to pay can get permanent life insurance. More often than not, nobody chooses this section. This is where the employer says, this is where I'm going to put my money, is a traditional IUL. And when you get the census data, and this one is not as sensitive to the leverage that I was describing earlier with ages and incomes, you can have, I think the first one of these I did, there were over 50 employees. It was a construction company. They were making really good money. And the premium on the owner was 200,000, and it was another 75 for his 3 managers. So we were going to put 275 in 4 contracts. We were going to have group life for all the individuals. There were a few that wanted some extra, and that's how that plan got set up. So it is pretty much 1, 2, 3. It's not overly complicated. We work with a third-party administrator out of Salt Lake that's been doing this for 25, 30 years. I will tell you, and Phil can speak to this, having worked with an insurance company before on the inside, getting things like this approved to go to you all with, companies are pretty picky. Some more than others. We're really picky, super conservative, belt and suspenders type. And this took a year to go through the process, because not only did the advanced sales team look at it, but the legal department looked at it, the compliance department looked at it, and they looked at the TPA to see how they manage their shop, and more importantly, how they manage these plans over time, because there have been plans the services shut down because it wasn't managed properly. So that's key to this. These guys, they sell the 401k pension plans and everything. They know that side. They make quite a bit of hay on this side because of how easy it is and how easy it is to work through. I'm gonna bear with me. I'm gonna switch gears for a minute, and this is essentially a brochure from the TPA that's out in Salt Lake. It kind of runs through how their plan is set up, some Q&A compared to 401k, and the different other investment options and what is. And that's what this, I can make this available to Phil. You all can read through this. We can get Ed, who is the principal at this TPA, on the phone in a future call, and we can drill down. But I want to show you.
Jeff, before you jump off
Yep.
of that.
Yep.
So when working with these guys, they basically set up the group term parts, and then we can do the IULs directly with you guys, or is there a comp split, anything like that?
Fair point. Fair point. On this one's a comp split because they're going to do most of the work. You know, that's the nice part about it, is they're going to do most of the work. So you just come up with a nice split with them. His are usually reasonable, 70-30%, could be more if they end up doing everything, flying out, meeting, and and all that. But fairly reasonable. I've had good feedback from the folks that use them. In fact, I've got one just called me the other day and said he's coming back for more. So,
Well, I mean, and the other question would be so you've already done the hard stuff with legal seeing it, advanced sales. So now it's even easier at this point when you partner, say, with this TPA group to get something like that through with Columbus. Is that fair to say?
yeah, and absolutely. The heavy lift has been done. There's not much for you to do. In fact, to a large extent, the companies, for the most part, unaware that it's even attached to a plan. I mean, it just moves right through, easy peasy.
And you've had a good question. Is there a minimum number of employees?
Yeah, there's two things on this one that are, one's small, which is how many lives. It's 10. So you need 10 lives on the plan, not just 10 lives, but 10 lives on the plan to make it work. Second, and this one's a big one, and I thought about sharing it at the beginning, and I thought I'll save it to the end because it does narrow it down a bit, but those folks have learned how to work around it, which is it does require that you be a C Corp.
Okay.
So a lot of LLCs out there set up as pass-throughs. The way around it is you set up a management company, C Corp. You put the employers and maybe the manager's contributions over there, and the money for that group comes out of the C Corp. That's what preserves the deductibility, and we take the group term and all that stuff out of the LLC. So it's a simple matter of setting up a C Corp management company to manage some aspect of the company's, computer work or printing or something. I've worked with a couple of folks that have talked about this. It sounds worse than it is. It's pretty straightforward and it's pretty easy to do. But it's a good question, Phil. Two of the important pieces to this.
And then the follow-up is 10 lives. Is that, say, an employee and then their wife and kids, or are you talking 10 employees?
10 employees. Yeah.
Okay.
10 bodies. 10 employee bodies. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah,
Any
for
questions?
sure. Yeah. I think I messed myself up. All right. Everybody see this screen here, this Inside Columbus Life? This is a newsletter that I'll also make available to Phil. This is Ed, who will typically be on the phone. These are the two principals of the agency, the TPA that I was talking about. Great guys, easy to talk to, easy to reach. What they talk about here is a live case. They had a CPA firm who was interested in helping the employer put some money aside. They were wanting some tax deductibility for it. And this just walks through the qualified plan discussion, the pros and cons, where they ended up with that, sort of shift the strategy to the group life, and then describes what they ended up with in the end. So this is a real easy article to you read through this and you grasp a bunch of what we just covered. So Phil, with that, I'm gonna just throw up this.
Just throw up.
Yeah, I'm gonna throw up. I'm done. No. So yeah, here's Beatty. Here's Kate. I keep referring to Kate. That's Kate. There's another gentleman, the lady you saw earlier, Debbie. She retired. They've got Deshaun in there now. He's double sharp, a fourth one coming. But this talks about what this group can do, because that's part of what I'm setting up is the team there. Sales concepts using life and annuities, document reviews, educational pieces, general tax questions. We've got a whole host of material online, specimen documents, the whole bit. So these folks do quite a bit and are available to you to support you and your efforts. So again, not trying to make you experts, just trying to make you aware, help you understand kind of the basic concepts. Who are, as Phil said, who are good prospects, and then how do you approach that and make an introduction. So with that, Mr. Phil, I will.
Well, I'll say, thank you. I know Jennifer had to drop, but the phrase, it's not what you know, but who you know. And with Columbus, they have a wide array of advanced salespeople that can help out in a lot of difficult situations. Kate was the one who showed me an article showing that if people want to put real estate into an irrevocable trust, they lose that step up in basis. And so it goes back to the idea of us having the right people to help us develop the stories. It's not products that sell, it's stories that tell. And like I say, when you have the right resources and the right people, it can make the world of a difference. And so, I highly encourage you guys once again to partner up here with Columbus. They have a great story. They've got a PDA, so you talk single pays. The thing that I really love, the table shave, that we were able to take a 8.1 A1C with sleep apnea and a little heart condition and get them a standard non-tobacco for $3 million. And so they're very favorable for diabetics. So if you have cases that are not getting the best of offers, what I say is come see, what Columbus can do. And really, we're giving some extra incentives, some extra carrots, if you will. 15,000. That's a drop in the bucket for most people, right? Right. When it comes to cases paid by the end of April. So we've got a pretty long string ahead of us. That could be 3 IULs, and really that's the opportunity that you have in front of you. You got a strong sales team behind incentives like this. And the other big one is, if you have not gotten a contract yet with Columbus, you have a chance this year if you hit 100,000 with them off to Puerto Rico. So, they've got really cool incentives, really cool opportunities to team up, plenty to go around. And we're just going to keep doing stuff like this to work with our core partners. And once again, the cheap shameless plug for coming up in May 11th, tgcconference.com. Feel free to register now. The event is free. You just got to get there. And if you're from out of town, block a room. It's $229 a night, usually $400 room. So really trying to do it up for you guys. And if you bring people who are not in your set organization yet, your room will be comped if you bring 5 people. So a lot of cool stuff. Appreciate the opportunity to partner with everybody here. I don't see any questions, so I'll just kind of wrap and say thank you so much. We'll be doing this again next week, same bat time, same bat channel. And thank you guys again. Have a great rest of your day.